Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Trader Merlin Show. It is your Friday edition, the weekend edition, trading week wrap up. Hope you had a great day out there. I see I have Steve Hall here Stephen Wolf. It's funny. You guys might remember there was that guy who just kind of went crazy on me, who was calling me all kinds of names and labeling everyone from California bad things. Well, he's back on my YouTube channel, all coming after me again. And I thought it was Steve Wolf for a second. I'm like, Steve, what did I do to you, buddy? It's different Steve. Anyway, cheers to all of you. Hope you had a great trading week. Honestly, these are the types of weeks you just look back at the end of it and you go, wow, did that happen? I mean, this has been a phenomenal week. I know many of you are capitalizing on this long position, even though some of my positions were taken away from me and I actually left some money on the table. I don't care. I am very happy with the way it worked. So let's right down the street from me, huh? All right, Mike, where are you at? Where are you in sunny SoCal? I wanted to show you this. So Big Eb, you had asked about the whiskey I was drinking the other day, because it is Friday. This is what it is. It looks like a rum bottle, right? This is like a classic looking rum shaped bottle. I totally picture like pirates and things like that. I'll zoom in on it so you guys can see the name. It's called Left Cross Planter's Punch. And essentially it's a 14-year-old bourbon aged in Jamaican dark rum casks. It's delicious. It's really, really good. So that's what we're having here today. So there we go. Cheers and happy Friday. Let's dive into the topics du jour. I wanted to start off with, certainly we could talk about, you're right down the street. Right down the street. I want to start right off with the positions, how my portfolio closed, then we'll go look at the markets, and then I'll talk about more what's going on in the crypto space. For those of you who are holding into the weekend, I think you are going to be surprised come Monday morning and really all next week. So let me run through positions. I'll give you closure on my portfolio, at least for what I have right now. And that's this. So I only have two, for the Trader Merlin account, I only have two physical underlying long positions right now. They're both MicroStrategy and UNG. As you guys know, I was exercised on Wednesday with UNG puts at 15. So I'm long UNG at 15 bucks. I sold the 1550 calls today against that one. So I'll go UNG. And I'll show you the premium that I collected. But we had that, pretty significant drop here. Exercised me on Wednesday. Great. It's bounced back up. I sold the calls yesterday. Got some nice premium on it. So I'm totally fine on that. With regards to the MicroStrategy, obviously I have two different entry prices. These are both put options that were sold and exercised. One at 375, one at 400. I'm not including the premium that I collected on that. That's just the actual exercise strike price. So let's go through and look at all the different options that expired today and how that panned out for this account. So for MicroStrategy, I sold the 412.5 call expiring today on all of my 600 shares of MicroStrategy. Okay, so that was one that you kind of look back and go, man, really? Oh man, look, MSTR. Obviously, with what's gone on with Bitcoin, and it's been phenomenal. I've actually been anticipating this, but I just got, I guess I was being a little too greedy on my calls. I wanted more premium. So you can see here, I sold the 412 at 50s. But remember, I collected $5 on it. So essentially, I'm out at 417.5. And, lo and behold, it rallied all the way up here to 434. So I left a bit of money on the table, but it's okay. All in all, my MicroStrategy is going to be gone, or my MicroStrategy is gone now, so I have no more long position of MicroStrategy, and we will see what happens next week with regards to my position. So MicroStrategy is officially done, at least for now. Next on this one was Webull. Now, again, I'm not a big fan of Webull. I just think that they're going to try to follow in the steps of Robinhood, and right now they are looking at digital assets, and I think that that's going to be a play for a lot of these early startup financial companies. Let's say the newer financial startup companies. For example, do I think that JP Morgan Chase or Bank of America or even Schwab is going to real quickly rush out there and start creating synthetic tokenized assets? I think that they're more legacy, so I think they're going to be a little bit later to the curve, whereas someone like Robinhood's like, let's do this right now, let's make it our main focus. I think Webull is going to go to that route. So when I saw it had that huge sell-off the other day, this is back on Monday, I sold the puts expiring this Friday So those are, I sold the $12 strike. And as you can see on the screen here, I collected 24 cents worth of premium. So if you break down the math, it may not seem like a lot, okay? You're like, well, Merlin, who cares? You made 24 cents. Well, I didn't just sell one contract. I sold a bunch of contracts. But the rate of return on that was 2% for 5 days, right? I made 24 cents on a $12 asset. That $12 asset, it's 100 shares. So basically 1% would have been 12 cents. 24 cents is 2%. So I made 2% on that trade for 5 days. I mean, that you consistently do things like that. Your rate of return compounds rather significantly and turns out to be exactly, Steve. That's great for a week. And my target is really 1% a week. I'm trying to get that without taking on too much risk. But 2%, when I saw it, I was like, okay, fine. Is it dangerous? Absolutely. Webull had an aggressive breakout above that $12 mark and came screaming back down. So certainly it could have dropped all the way back down into the $10 range. So intermittent spinning. Uh-oh. Let me real quickly just see. The thing that sucks is I can't change the bit rate that I send to you guys after I started the show. So I've been doing the show on a very high bit rate, which means almost no latency. So you got your responses should be way faster than normal. Right now, it looks like my internet rock solid. I'm running at 392K download. I've got 245 uploads, so we should be pretty good here. I'm not too worried about that. I think we should be fine. So maybe refresh. Maybe refresh on your end. So, but thanks for telling me. It's always worth checking to see how things are going. All right, back to our charts here. So the Webull one, that expired worthless today. Great, I'm happy about that. The big thorn in my side is this bad boy here, Circle. That 120 put, which we sold a couple weeks ago. That didn't expire today. I still have one more week to go on that one, but judging by what's going on with the price chart here, Circle's not coming down to 120 bucks anytime soon. I paid $520 for that contract, so that's quite a bit of premium. For me to break even on that trade alone, it would have to get down to $114.80. I doubt that's going to happen. Not in the next 7 days, right? I don't think that'll happen by next week, especially with all the positivity and around stablecoins, which I will talk about here shortly. So that's going to end up most likely being a loss for me on Wednesday. Not Wednesday, next Friday. So it is what it is. SMCI. So I sold SMCI puts earlier this week, I believe was on Monday. That was a 1 week trade expiring this Friday. And I collected 72 cents. So if your math is good here, 90 cents would be 2%. So this is about a 1.7% gain. And you look at SMCI. Again, I had the $45 strikes, which is right here at the yellow line. Really had no worry all week on that one. So this was another one that just did very well in a very short period of time, and this was a larger position, so I was pretty happy about that. Next victim here, I guess next trade was Tesla. I didn't sell a lot of those. Sure, Vanara, I can look at, sure, I can check that one out. Let me see. Tesla, I sold the 280s expiring this Friday, today, and I collected $3.75. So again, that was going to put $2.80 would be 1%. So I'm getting like 1.3, 1.4% rate of return for Tesla for the week. So it's been a really good week just for simple trades here, just outright straight selling puts on positions. You can see the 280 strike here. I was never in jeopardy at all, never even concerned with it. I'm a little disappointed, I'll be honest. I really want to own Tesla, so I was kind of hoping I would have got down to 280 and just bought it. Maybe next time I should just buy it outright and sell the calls up above it. So far, let me see if I can go back here and do some edits on these, just so you guys can see what the trades have done. Where is it? There we go. And I'll go to my table and I'll modify these just a little bit for you so you can see the actual numbers. So the MicroStrategy, I wonder if it'll let me do this. Go strike through. That one's done. The Webull, that's closed out as of today, so that one's done. Circle still open. SMCI is, come on. SMCI is closed out as of today. That's a profitable trade. I guess I should do I should color code them too, just so you guys know which ones are winning and losing. Tesla, was also closed today. That was a winning trade, so that's fantastic. And then here's one that I think was kind of interesting. So as you guys remember from the first slide, I had UNG. So I sold puts on like either last week or Monday. I can't remember when it was, but I sold puts on UNG. And I'm fine owning UNG long term. You have a historical pattern that goes on right about now where inventories start to slide, and that could lead to higher prices. So I'm okay with that. Now, I was exercised at 15, but you notice that as it had that big sell-off back on, let's go back to the UNG chart here. As it had that big sell-off on Wednesday when I was exercised those shares, I sold a lot more at the 1350 strike, and those expire next week. So I have until the 18th on this 1350 strike. So my initial position wasn't that large. This position that I have now is considerably larger than the previous one. So I've got to that vertical blue line for both of these to expire. Right now, UNG trading at 1492. So yeah, I mean, ideally this will continue to rally up and my shares will get taken away. I'll keep all the premium on the bottom UNG and I'll keep all the premium for the top. So it should be a win-win. And I have two more on here. UNH. So UNH is one that I opened just yesterday. Yesterday or day before? I had a limit order way out early in the morning at 300 because I just felt like 300 is going to be that stopping point for UNH. And today we had a nice little rally up. I collected $4.55 worth of premium on UNH, but that's for next Friday. So again, I've got another trade that I decided to go a week out to get a lot more premium. Remember, that thing's trading at $300 is the strike price. Therefore, I'm making about 1.5% for the week on UNH. And finally, you see I've got USO. The USO trade I did last week, so it's about a week and a half. That was a $71 strike. Collected 86 cents with a premium, therefore just over 1% for a little over a week on USO. And that's it. That's all the trades I have here. Just wanted to show you those ones. I apologize for not having that thing updated soon enough, but I've been just chaotically busy. So there you go. All right, Kate Sweeney says, Tesla just looks like it's putting in lower highs. Am I missing something? No, it's not that you're missing anything. When you look at it, you know, we do have lower highs being put in since late May, right? So bump, bump, bump. No, not all winning trades, Sophie. I will certainly lose on Circle. And right now it's up in the air on what happens with the UNG. I think I'll be okay with UNG, but the Circle was a bad losing trade. But, you know, this is, to me, why I don't have one trade open. I try to spread it around. So if I'm wrong on one, fine. I have others that will carry it and bail me out. So, you know, right now, if you look at this list, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I had 9 different trades open. And as it stands right now, one of them is going to end up being a loser. But I've known this one for some time. Margaret said add a P&L column. What I don't really want to do, I don't want to put show the number of contracts I'm in and things like that. I got to keep some stuff private for myself. But what I could do is I could add in a rate of return if you would like, where I calculate all that stuff out. That would be easy to do. But as far as putting in like a dollar amount P&L, not going to do that. Yeah. To me, it almost borders on gloating and bragging about how much you're making, and I don't want to fall into that category. Exactly, Steve. Only one stinker out of 9 isn't bad. And you know, the biggest position to have in here was that MicroStrategy and SMCI, and Tesla was a pretty big one as well. You know, those will all offset that Circle trade by a wide margin, right? By a significant amount. So fine. You know, it sucks. And again, this isn't over yet. The Circle isn't done, but I pretty much accepted the fact that that's going to end up being a loser. Could it fall 30, 40, 50% in the next couple days? Absolutely. But I have a lot of reasons here why I'm not. Toby says you could have rolled your MicroStrategy good premiums for higher strikes. Yep, I certainly could have. And I debated that. I like having closure, so I'm just going to let the MicroStrategy go away. Come Monday, we'll see what I want to do with it, right? I might play Netflix as well, Oliver. If the premium on that earnings day is large enough to, to offset the risk that I'm taking for, let's say it gaps down a significant amount on Netflix, then, I need to have high premiums. I want high premiums on that one. And if it's appealing to me, I'll take it, but I'm not going to rush into it. But yeah, Netflix is next Thursday, I believe. That will be the big name for next week, other than the financial firms, which we can talk about here briefly as we go. So, there's no reason for you to add a dollar amount in P&L. Yeah, I actually like the percentage anyway, because whether I'm in one contract or 100 contracts, I don't want that to sway anybody, or I don't know. I feel like it almost puts a target on you. So I won't put the dollar amount, but if you'd like, Margaret and others, I'll add a percent gain, because that's how I calculate out these trades, right? I look at it from, here's a rate of return on my capital, which, aren't we all doing that on a daily basis? If you go on maybe on a monthly basis, if you have money in a savings account, well, you've got your rate of return. You're calculating your rate of return. If you're making 1% per year, then you're going to be making, less than 0.1% per month. Well, you can calculate all that stuff out. And to me, knowing that these positions are getting me minimum 1%, and I can consistently do that, then over time my accounts will do fine. Bullish or bearish on Netflix? I don't know where to stand on that one, Big Eb. I'm not a fan of Netflix, period. I think at what point have we watched everything on it? Heck, I thought during COVID that this Netflix was going to have a big sell-off. After a few months of COVID, because we all were sitting home for month after month after month, shelter in place, watching useless TV. I don't know. I'm almost inclined to get rid of my account, but I like to have it when I want to have it. From a technical perspective, what can we say about this? Amazing run it's had over the next few months. And of course, now Jim Cramer's boasting that he told you to buy it. What he's not really telling you is you were underwater from January 3rd of 2022. You were underwater on this trade until February of 2024. So over 2 years, you had to sit there in pain and a losing position because of Jim Cramer. But now he's telling you, see what I did? Almost sounds like some other Chicago trader I know. Well, see what I did? All the great rates of return. Anyway, to Big Eb's point, if we look at this, it's a beautiful chart. Higher highs, higher lows. At this point, I don't see any reason to be bearish from a technical perspective. Now, I'd have to put some lines in the sand here. Let's say, I don't want to take away that Jim Cramer line. Let me leave that Jim Cramer line. There we go. Where do we start to have that moment? As we get to about 1,180, as it starts to make some new lows, certainly that would be a point where I would be more interested in going short on it. So if we get a gap down to about 1184, I'll be a little nervous on that one, honestly, if I was to be selling puts at that level, because it's certainly going to be showing some weakness. And given its range from those April lows, it has a lot of downside potential here. And I agree with Margaret. I think that there is so much competition out there for Netflix. And maybe I'm the outlier here, but for some reason, I still have way too many accounts. So I get HBO Max for free with my phone. I pay for Netflix. I pay for Amazon Prime, which I'm never going to get rid of Amazon Prime because I shop. So Amazon Prime I'll always have, although I don't watch it. And then we've got Hulu login. I used to have Paramount and what's the other one? Paramount and Peacock, but I cut those. So I'm trying to cut more and more and more and more of it because I feel that TV is just a waste of time. It's a mind waster. I'd rather waste my mind learning something. So I'll be cutting more and more. Netflix might be the next one to go, but since I really only pay for Amazon Prime and Netflix and Hulu would probably be the one to go for me. All right, there is comp, but for some reason Netflix prospers. Yeah, it's an addiction. I think TV is an addiction. It's like, sugar's bad, but man, TV is far worse. So we'll have to wait and see, Big Eb, next week how this transpires. Of course, we'll wait and see on Thursday what happens, and I'll let you know once it gets there. I'll make that opinion about what I'm going to trade it. But for now, not on my radar. Don't really care. I saw a question earlier about me using a filter or something. Let me see real quick. I'm trying to find I don't use a filter to find them. let's see. Please remind me, do you do a volatility scan to find tickers to sell puts on? No, I don't. Here's one of the ways that I do. So I created filters within within TradingView. And you can see here I've got biggest losers on here, but for some reason it keeps resetting upstairs. So I have certain parameters that are critical for me when I'm running a When I'm running a filter. And those set of parameters are volume. I want to make sure I have a certain amount of volume because it's liquidity. And also things that are thinly traded may not even have options. So I'm going to go here and say I want something that trades at least 1.5 million shares per day, right? So I'm now adding that to this. I'm also going to go here and say price. I want price to be above, let's say, $15. So I'm weeding out those penny stocks, which will always show up on your filter. So now I've got, show me everything in the US market that's above $15 that trades on average for the last 10 days, 1.5 million shares, right? That's the start point. Now what I need to do is find out how bad they are. So let's go 10% or worse, and I'll hit save. Now it's saved. And you can see here I've got a few different symbols. I've got AEVA, TSSI, BMNR, and ARTL. Not one of these companies do I recognize. Now, if I were to jump on there and Boeing was on that list, I'd feel a little bit different about it. If Tesla was on that list, or Nvidia, or Google, or Apple, the big bellwether names that I know are not going to disappear, that's really where I start my look, Lisa, that's where I start. I go by there and I go, if I'm going to sell puts on something, I certainly would like it to be on a position that I'm okay owning, right? And I'm owning for whatever the intermediate time is. So that's one of the main things I do. And then I'm generally just looking. I'll go through here and, today was a 1.3% down day for Meta, as you can see at the bottom. All right, well, does that give me any belief that I should be selling puts here? No, not really. Steven says, I'm already watching the big boys. Sure, absolutely. Magnificent 7 is on the list. I love Tesla because of the volatility and the premium. So even though Tesla, had a decent day, I may look at this. I'd love it if Tesla sold off over the weekend and gave me another opportunity to load the boat on some puts at 280 or to sell a whole bunch at 280. I mean, 280's been working for quite some time now. It hasn't really broken through there. So Lisa says, I know the ticker BMNR, not the other ones you mentioned. BMNR, huh? Let's see what BMNR. Bitmine Immersion Technologies. Okay. Well, when you look at a chart like this, you got to be extremely careful. Like, I'm not going to be doing anything with this one because it was trading at $4 just a couple of weeks ago, hit a high price of $161, and now it's falling back. Forget it. I wouldn't touch that one. This is almost as bad as Circle, although I understand Circle's model very well, and I know what they're trying to do. So, yeah, there you go. Okay. Look at Circles here. Okay. CRWV, CoreWeave. All right. So CoreWeave, not that I know their business model well, but they are a major name, so I'm okay with that. Now the question would be, if I do decide to sell puts on this pain that it's feeling right now, where is it going to be? I do like the 106 level. Do I have to go up to 110? Could I sell the 110s and get a good enough premium here? Sure. Yeah. Why not? Yep. Yeah, I know that they're part of NVIDIA, but I don't. Well, NVIDIA's got money in them, but I don't know exactly the role that CoreWeave does. Margaret says Head and Shoulders. You could argue that's a Head and Shoulders there, and following through the downside. So maybe this ends up being a potential play. Given how new it is, I'd be curious how heavy the liquidity is on the options here. But big volatile stocks like this generally have a lot of premium. Now, if you could look at CRCL, is that what you wanted there? Yeah, Circle. Circle, very different, right? Circle's got almost no track history to it. It's a great company. I mean, I think I read somewhere, I can't remember exactly the name. They said like Circle makes more money than Goldman Sachs, and they have, just a couple hundred employees. Crazy. And I don't know if that's exactly the quote, but when you look at the model, it's pretty simple, right? Circle is literally borrowing money from customers, giving you a tokenized dollar, and then buying treasuries with it and earning that yield for free. I mean, that's a no overhead model. That's a real simple business model. It's funny because 3 years ago, 4 years ago, in the crypto program I teach for Trading Academy, I was saying exactly this. I said, this is a way to make a ton of money and be above board and safe so regulators are okay with it. And here we are today with stablecoins. Now, let me, since I'm on that topic, it's my last plug, I promise. I guess I just have to plug every now and again. But I will be up in Vegas next week. So we have no show Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. I will be back in the saddle on Thursday. My presentation's on Tuesday, and that's going to be called Filtering Chaos, How to Choose the Right Cryptocurrency and Digital Asset Investments. I also have several other speaking engagements while I'm in Vegas. If you're going to be there, email me, and happy to meet up and talk whatever. So, yeah, that's it. Let's talk about, obviously, Bitcoin's surge. And a little briefly understanding, I know we're probably getting some people turned off by this because you're like, okay, enough with the crypto, but it is the hottest topic in town right now. I think you'd all agree with that. It's like everyone and their mother is all of a sudden talking crypto, talking Bitcoin. And it's like, you know, I'm rubbing my hands together like, love it. This is great. This is what we've been wanting. So, yeah, the graphic's pretty fun. I even have it animated for you. Gotta love AI. It should just take that Bitcoin and go straight off the screen. So let's talk about the surge and what's going on, why it's important. I pointed out to you last week on the leveraged short positions, which are being liquidated. And I believe the number I read was $3 billion have been liquidated this week alone from leveraged short positions. So that forces all these buyers. But we have so many other organic buyers anyway. We have this week record inflows again into Bitcoin. I read that yesterday, exchange-traded funds purchased 10,000 Bitcoin to meet demand for people trying to buy into like IBIT and things like that. So you guys tell me, if ETFs are trying to buy 10,000 Bitcoin in one day, where are they getting it from? Where are they getting it from? I guess maybe I should ask you, how many Bitcoin are created per day? Oliver, no Googling here. How many are created per day, right? Remember, there is a mining process where Bitcoin miners get a reward. And there is 3.125 Bitcoin. There's Wayne. Cheers, Wayne. If you're working tonight, Wayne, I wish I could come by. I'm going golfing later. But yeah, 3.125 Bitcoin created every 10 minutes. Therefore, you can extrapolate how many are in 24 hours. Wayne is correct. 450 for now. Once we get to 2028, it drops to 225. So what you're getting here is institutions, only the ETFs, by the way, are trying to buy 10,000 Bitcoin because of demand on those ETFs. Where are they getting it from? They're getting it from the exchanges, which has been driving the price up. But there's another factor here. Check this out. This is your liquidation map. Notice right here, our current price, we're actually higher. This is, I grabbed the wrong one. Son of a biscuit. There's a new version of this. Dab nabbit. There is a massive wall of leverage longs at like 119, 120, 121, 123. Huge volume of leverage shorts. So I mentioned that I think this weekend you could see a very significant move to the upside. And there's a couple of different reasons why that may be. Here's the first part. First one is it's crypto week. Now, you may not have heard what crypto week is, but I will explain what's happening. Our elected officials have dubbed this crypto week, which means all week at the House of Representatives and the Senate, they are going to be talking crypto initiatives. There's four main considerations. Consideration number one, shutting down a central bank digital currency, a CBDC. It will be a battle for that. Now, I think it's a foregone conclusion that at some point over the next few years, we will have a central bank digital currency. But that's going to be part of the fight. Fight number two is going to be for the right to self-custody. So I mention this all the time. If you can get your crypto off of the exchange, do it. If you leave it there, they're lending it out and it's adding more and more liquidity just like your money sitting in a bank. So I keep mine on cold storage. Once you remove it from the exchanges, no one can touch it. There are questions right now that maybe you should not have that right to custody your own investments. So some people are fighting for the right for you and I to own actual ownership of our cryptocurrency. And I'm in that camp. I think we should all be allowed to own our cryptocurrency and no one should be able to take it or confiscate it, whatever. So Mick says Tangem, that's awesome. I'm actually just looking at that one as well, Mick. I'm looking at the Tangem. And the Tangem ring, by the way, is kind of interesting. So all week, we've got, number one, the fight over central bank digital currencies. Number two will be the right to self-custody. Number three, which is the only thing I think that we are going to get done, is the Genius Act. I think that that's going to get passed this week or next week. Go to President Trump. He'll sign that one into effect right away. For those of you who are not in the crypto space, I cannot emphasize what a monumental boost this will be for the markets. If you have a bank account, if you use Amazon, right now they're iffy and nervous about doing crypto. PayPal has a cryptocurrency, they use a stablecoin, but once this Genius Act gets approved, it opens the door to every business will now have the right, they have to fill out an application, but to issue their own stablecoin. So let's say, for example, I use Amazon almost every single day. If I use Amazon, Amazon can issue an Amazon buck. We'll call it Amazon bucks. It's a digital dollar, and it has to be backed by bonds and cash, but it's digital. So what happens is I take $1,000, I put it into the Amazon bucks. Now I've got $1,000 in the digital ecosystem, and I can buy and sell goods and services faster than traditional payment systems. More importantly, the average person is going to move some money over to these digital markets that may not have been into crypto. And now you have transfer and adoption into the broader spectrum of cryptocurrency and digital assets. So it's not going to happen immediately, but this completely opens the floodgates to mass adoption, not only in the US, but globally, because the rules that we're using will be applicable globally from the US perspective. We'll see if it gets adopted. But that's what's happening this week. To me, very, 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 very important for this upcoming trading week. Now, the last piece for this crypto week here, that is going to be the Clarity Act. So stablecoins represent about 7% of the market, and that should get resolved next week and finalized. The Clarity Act says what's a security, what's not a security, which regulatory agency covers which asset, how do market segments get divided. All of that is in the Clarity Act. Now, unfortunately, I think 93% of all of the markets are in this category, which need clarity. The scary part about political officials is there will most likely be a lot of garbage put in this bill that gets slipped through without anybody paying attention to it because, each politician wants to put their name on it and stamp it and say, there we go. So we will see what happens with the Clarity Act. I do not believe that we're going to see the Clarity Act resolve anytime soon. I believe that will be later this year. I'm hearing from some officials September is the kind of target date for that one. But next week, I expect very volatile crypto markets. I expect that Genius Act to get approved. When that's done, I think you're going to see these markets soar. And that liquidates a lot of those short positions. So to me, this could be a really important week for us, especially for those of you who are long cryptocurrency and digital assets. So Steve says, Merlin, do digital dollars earn interest just like Amazon bucks? Maybe. It depends on the issuer. So one of the things I read in the Genius Act was that they were not allowing the issuer of stablecoins to pay interest. But, you look over here at Coinbase. So I'm going to Coinbase. Here's Coinbase Home. Log right into my account. Go to my portfolio. Again, I don't keep a lot of money here. You can see right now, USDC is paying me 4.1%. So if I'm holding those digital dollars, I get paid 4.1%. But if I just hold normal US dollars, I don't get paid anything, right? So would Amazon bucks pay interest? You guys tell me, would Amazon bucks pay interest? My guess would be yes. If I'm Amazon, let's take a step back and put myself in Jeff Bezos' shoes. First off, I would never have married that woman, but that's besides the point. If I'm Jeff Bezos, I'm looking for ways to create stickiness in my ecosystem. I want more people bringing more money into my environment. So I create a stable coin. Now, if I issue a stable coin and don't pay any interest, I'm not really incentivizing people to be a part of that system, right? But JP Morgan Chase pays on average, JP Morgan Chase pays 0.1% interest, and the national average is 0.4%. So if I'm Amazon, if I could pay my customers 2% on deposits that they have with me at all times, I'm now incentivizing every Amazon user to take their money out of Chase, out of Bank of America, out of Wells Fargo, and just keep it at mine. I will pay you more money. So this is great because, in my opinion, it's like a win-win-win for consumers. Because number one, it opens up much more choices for payment systems around the world. Number two, it's forcing traditional banks to pay you more interest because stablecoins are going to pay more. I mean, I've started moving more money over here, like just kind of a little bit of cash every now and again to this 4.1% for USDC. Because if I go to my Chase account, 0.1, if I put $10,000 in my Chase account, I will earn $10 in a year. 1 year. Whereas with USDC, $10,000 is going to earn me $410 per year. I mean, that's a significant difference in rate of return. So I do think that companies will offer some rate of return on these stablecoins to incentivize you to use their ecosystem. Whether that's Microsoft ecosystem, Amazon, you name it, Apple. I think they're all going to issue stablecoins. And what that does is it opens up the door to adoption. So all these people that you talk about that are like, or that like, oh, crypto sucks, it's a scam, it's a fraud. When all the major institutions are using stablecoins, they're going to be like, okay, well, it's got to be legit. And here we go. Tough. I'm enjoying doing Nano Bitcoin on Coinbase, doing well. Fees aren't too bad. Yeah, Chad, Nano, those futures on Coinbase aren't bad. So if you go here, you go to derivatives. But the thing I've noticed is that the only one that has a lot of volume, enough volume to actively trade, is Bitcoin, right? I mean, if you go out here and look at some of the other futures contracts that you can trade, volume dries up significantly. I mean, real bad. You guys, if you can see on my screen here, you notice I can trade Ethereum, Ripple, Solana, gold, Stellar Lumens, silver, Dogecoin. There's even oil in here, natural gas futures. I mean, there's a lot of flexibility coming to these markets, and it's under this umbrella of digital assets. We are going to see more and more tokenization of assets going forward. I mean, it's a great time to be alive. I'm so fortunate that I fell in this rabbit hole in 2017 because I feel like I am way ahead of that curve. All right, sorry, I'm going off. You never got over playing with dolls, but you talking about me? I'm not a big fan of plastic. I think that, obviously there's some great arguments for plastic surgery in certain situations, but to make yourself more beautiful just makes me feel like you're vain. And look, you're all beautiful in certain ways. Look, I got a schnoz for days. Am I going to get a nose job on it? I got bags under my eyes and wrinkles on my forehead. You're not going to see me shove no Botox on my forehead so I look better. I call these, wisdom marks out there. We should all be happy with who we are and be beautiful. So, let's see. Big Eb says, thinking about liquidating my ETH, maybe move that into more Cardano and Sol. Thoughts? It's a tough one. That's a really tough question, Big Eb. I was going to work on a video for Bar Chart this weekend, which talked about Ethereum and kind of, is it losing its market share or is it actually gaining market share? So let me bring up those three. Let me go to my crypto page here. Hold on just a second as I bring those up for us. We'll start off with the Ethereum one, and maybe we could do a Pepsi challenge where we line them all up, but, that's ETH, garbage. So there's Ethereum, right? Ethereum's been looking pretty good lately. I mean, we were down at lows of 2,100, and now we just broke 3,000. So a 50% rise in Ethereum in just the past month. Not too shabby. Now, what does the big picture look like for Ethereum? I think it looks great. I mean, we could argue this is a cup and handle formation. Let's turn this into a cup and handle so you guys can see it. So there's your initial cup. I guess you go here, right? There's your cup. And then let me turn this on. We'll lock that. And here is your handle. And there we go. So now, you have this cup and handle formation, which to me is a pretty bullish pattern. And now that may be because of crypto overall, but here's the trade-off, Big Eb, and this is the big question, the challenge. When you look at networks like Cardano or Solana, the two that you mentioned, Solana built itself off of speed, right? 65,000 transactions per second is kind of their benchmark number, and they're talking about going more. Cardano isn't nowhere near as fast as Solana, but they're doing an upgrade called Midnight. They've also got a thing called Hydra, and now they're talking about doing 1 million transactions per second. So you have scalability. Transactions are cheaper as well. Ethereum went the other route. Ethereum said, we're not going to change fundamentally our blockchain to make it faster and better and compete with these guys. What we're going to do is allow competitors to, not competitors, we're going to allow layer 2 solutions. And these layer 2 solutions kind of sit on top of Ethereum and facilitate a ton of transactions, batch them together, and report those down to the base layer. When it comes to the network effect, Ethereum still is the winner, right? Ethereum still has the lion's share of the market, although it's losing some to some of these other competitors, but it still is the top dog. So I don't know if I would roll out of Ethereum altogether. I would keep some because I do think that there's tremendous upside potential for Ethereum. If I had to choose right now between Solana and Cardano, that's a real tough question. I myself would go with Cardano. And the main reason for me is because most of my Cardano was lost to Celsius when they went bankrupt. I recently just bought another $5,000 worth of Cardano, which obviously has been great timing. And I like Charles Hoskinson. I do think that Cardano is working on some really interesting projects to help scale. And I think that they're one of the most diversified, decentralized projects out there, really driven by the community. So if I had to choose right now, I would go, from my account, I would add some Cardano. And the main reason is I don't have enough Cardano, whereas I have a good amount of Solana and I've got a significant amount of Ethereum. Ethereum is still my number 2 position. So I don't know if I answered your question, Big Ab. Probably didn't. But if you're nervous on Ethereum, I would spread it around a little bit because I don't know which one of these layer ones will be the king down the road. I do know that JP Morgan Chase is using Ethereum and EVM machine compatible or EVM compatible machines, which allow you to plug into Ethereum. So why not? Let's see. Everyone's offering interest rates to transfer money to them. Yes. Let's see. I will says, no problem. And I appreciate the question as always. No problem. Let's have a great weekend. What time are we at? Oh my goodness. What else did I have on here? Oh, so one last piece, and then I'll go look at some charts, and then we'll wrap things up for the weekend. I asked my AI platform to show me a picture of Jerome Powell being escorted out of the Federal Reserve by security, and I love what it came up with. It gave me this picture. I'll tell you what, if you did not know that this was AI, how many of you would be able to tell that this was fake? There's this guy's hand over here looks a bit mangled on the left-hand side. But yeah, this looks pretty legit. It really kind of cracked me up when I saw it. You got the security badges there, etc. What I did, I tried to have this animated, and it would not allow me to. It said that violates their policy. So apparently having political figures like this, make video of them would not work. But this picture does look pretty legit, I must say. Anyway, what's going on with Jerome Powell? There is a lot of speculation that Jerome Powell will not make it through the weekend. You've got so many people pointing their finger at him and calling him all kinds of names and saying that he's squandering all this money with the building of the new building and he's not saving the economy. Look, if Jerome Powell resigns, and it is a possibility, he's already said that he won't, and honestly, I don't think that he should. I think that I think he should stay there. I think he's doing a decent job. It's an impossible role because you're going to get one side's going to hate you, another side's going to love you. The politicians want right now for him to cut rates big time because that would help their agenda. Stimulate the economy, right? Get things juiced. Jerome Powell should wait because the current administration is doing things which create a lot of uncertainty for the economy going forward, and therefore you wait, right? I agree with you, Margaret. I think he's trying his best. He inherited literally an impossible situation, and he landed us fairly well. Yet now people are calling him a loser and he's incompetent. I'm like, man, that's a little rough, man. Cut the guy some slack. Anyway, if he does resign, I expect to see a huge move to the upside next week. Or when he resigns, if he resigns. And the main reason is Trump will appoint somebody who's going to cut rates. And you heard him say he wants rates to go down by 3%. That's 300 basis points. If that was the case, my goodness. This market would scream to the upside and would also create a very bad situation. We would in my opinion, we'd find ourselves right back in a high inflation environment if you cut 300 basis points. But what'll probably happen, judging by the pressure, is Jerome Powell will most likely resign in the next couple weeks, maybe even over the weekend. Trump will appoint someone who's already on board by, I'm going to cut rates. And we know who's thinking about cutting rates because of the meeting minutes, right? I think Williams is one of the main ones saying, let's cut. So he will appoint someone to take over in the interim, and that person will cut rates right away. It'll probably be a surprise cut. Now, 3% I heard too. I forgot even what I was talking about. He said 3%. Trump definitely said 3% need to be cut. So we'll probably get 25, 25, 25, but right away, that would juice these markets. And certainly that would cause for some nice bullish move to the upside. So be ready for that. I think that's actually coming very, very soon. Do you really think that Powell will resign? Lisa, I hope he doesn't. I hope he doesn't to make a statement. Because right now, it's like an election campaign. They're dragging up anything they can to make Jerome Powell look bad. I mean, do you think that Jerome Powell was the one that was signing all the documents for the construction of the new building? Probably not. But they're making him the scapegoat for it and saying, now you violated, you're squandering money. It really is a smear campaign, in my opinion, on Jerome Powell. Margaret says childish. That's politics. Politics are childish, man. It's terrible. And I don't know. I hope that he doesn't. I hope he sticks to his guns. Look, if he got us this far, I'm okay with what he does. Our market's thriving. I mean, no political finger pointing, but how can you tell me that we've got to cut rates? Look at the market. We're at all-time highs. Why do I need to cut rates? I don't need to cut rates. What I need to do is I need to keep those rate cuts in my quiver in case the doo-doo hits the fan and I really need to juice the economy. But right now, we're firing on all cylinders. Right? Unemployment, 4.1%. We got inflation relatively under control in the core PCE price index, the PPI, CPI numbers. It all looks really good. But because the top brass, if you will, the president, is not getting what he wants, it creates this smear campaign. And it's unfortunate because I think Jerome Powell's legacy could be tarnished by this whole smear campaign of how he was fraudulent, whatever. And if I'm him, I'm not resigning. I will come out with press conferences and I will say exactly what I just did right there. I say, well, Mr. President, I'm not going to resign because my obligation is not to you. I'm not here to serve you, the president. I'm here to serve the American people. And over the past X amount of years, not only have we landed this plane from a recession, from a pandemic that was created due to a lot of bad political moves, but we are currently in the best bull market run that we've ever seen. We are seeing higher highs on the S&P. NASDAQ's right there. The Dow's right there. The Russell's right there. Things look great. So I am not going to resign. I feel like I am doing a great job, and I do believe the American people support me at that as well. That's what I'd be saying if I was Powell. And I'd be using the media to spread that message and stop this finger pointing and, bad stuff. Which commercials, Tofi? I didn't see those ones. And I used to work for a political media firm in a previous life. Oh boy, the way those guys. Yeah, I imagine. I imagine it was pretty bad the way that they talked about it to each other. So anyway, that's going to be a big piece for us next week. Right now, markets look fantastic, and I don't see anything at this moment that's going to derail that. But, just keep your eyes on it. I think there's a lot of positive stuff happening. As I mentioned, you've got the crypto week. You've got the Bitcoin surge, which I think is another major factor. And I think that was it. So what did our market do? Well, I'll start down here at the bottom and work my way back to the top. So Russell, nothing here really. I mean, I was down 1.4%, but not that bad. S&P down 0.3, but still, I'm gonna stretch this little yellow box out. And bottom line for me is if that yellow box continues to move sideways, great. If price continues to stay above this yellow box, fantastic. Let's move that out there. If it holds that upper yellow box, that's fantastic. This market's going to continue to surge. I was really surprised to see not a bigger drawdown this week based off what we had from June 23rd up until July 3rd. That was a monstrous move. I thought we'd see more profit taking. We did not. So that means to me that people are holding and not looking at selling. So great. NASDAQ. Yeah, we've had a couple tech hiccups. You had some big tariff slams on Canada with 35% and other ones, and still markets holding resistant. Your dollar index. I thought we'd see some downside movement today. We did not. Started to rally back up. Now, we're not out of the woods yet. The dollar is still trending lower. However, the last week and a half has been very bullish. Nice bounce up, but until we get above, let's say 99.50, I'm not worried about it. Not worried about it at all. I was just reading Margaret's comment, Luis's comment. You're right. I didn't notice that guy. The guy right behind this dude. Yeah, these two guys here look a little distorted. Other than that, it's pretty good. I went to the bank with your crypto portfolio. Margaret, let's just say we're doing good. I just don't want to, until I close out those trades, it's all paper profits, right? And yeah, I've been holding since 2017 and been adding ever since. So yeah, I'm doing well. It's great. But I don't think we're done. I think we're going to get all these dominoes lining up from a political perspective. I've been saying for 2 years now, I said the big thing that's going to change is when the regulatory regime comes in and starts to put positive frameworks around it to protect consumers. Once that's done, that drives more demand. And then the second piece is institutional demand. Michael Saylor, what he's doing is sending a clear signal to a lot of businesses that, hey, don't keep all your money in cash earning 3 or 4%. Keep it in something like Bitcoin, and it's got limited supply, and you'll get a greater rate of return. And I'm not saying that Amazon and Microsoft and Tesla need to put all their money into all their spare cash into Bitcoin. But what if Amazon decided to put 5% or 10%? Now you're talking billions of dollars, hundreds of millions of dollars being purchased of Bitcoin. I think you're going to see not only the price surge because of corporate adoption, you're going to see liquidation from these leveraged short positions, and just, more upside move. It's great. Love it. Bring it on. What else do I have on here? So gold. Gold, whatever, boredom. Yes, it was up 1.15%, but it's stuck on the yellow box. I'm bored. 10-year yield. Nice about face this week, actually, right? We saw that thing whip around pretty violently this week. We're up 1.5%, closing the week at 4.417. And then our top two, crude oil. So crude oil moved up. There was talks about the U.S. going after Russia and putting sanctions on oil from Russia and going back at Russia again. And that's why you saw this nice little 2.82% pop. Again, I am going to be bullish on oil for a while. I would like to sell some more puts, maybe even get long on oil, because I just don't think that the tension is over. But my USO trade right now is officially done. And finally, we talked about Bitcoin. Bitcoin right now is 118,530 on the futures market. Phenomenal. I mean, and we're in blue skies, guys. There's nothing above it that could tell us where supply is. So it makes it very, 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 very difficult to identify a supply zone. In this case, I'm not looking for supply. I'm not looking to short Bitcoin at all. Usually we're using supply to see where it might slow down. At this point, I don't see anything, especially with the crypto week coming up for Congress. So that's it for today's show. Margaret says a big bull flag, big flag pattern booming. Yeah, it followed through with what we thought was going to happen. Now, Margaret, what we really want to see is, does it hit the measuring object target we talked about, which would push the price of Bitcoin up to 146. 146 by August. That would be wonderful for me. I would be absolutely ecstatic with that kind of rate of return. And then, I still think 250 is potentially on the plate. If I do a copy of this line at that angle and I clone it and use that as my measuring object, you can see where it gives the target here. I'll scroll in. Notice our acceleration right now is actually steeper than that line. That's a really important factor here. It may seem like this dotted blue line at the very top is a little bit unattainable, unachievable, right? However, we had a real big last couple days. If this continues to go up, man, we could get there before August. And then that might be pushing it. But yeah, I think we're going to get there. I think that we'll get to 140-ish by August, at some point during August. All right. Lewis says the reason the Fed is separate from the government is division of power. So he should say, yeah, it's supposed to be that way, right? It's supposed to be that he's not influenced by the president. And I'm in Jerome Powell's camp. Obviously, I'm kind of in Trump's camp too, because, hey, everything's fine. Let's lower rates to juice the market more. But if you look at the market is actually doing okay, looking fine. So there's no reason to do it. If you have, what's a simple example? Let's say you've got a painkiller, right? You threw your back out like I did. Mind you, my back is good now. But let's say I've got 5 pain pills, heavy duty pain pills that are there to make my back feel better. When you're in pain or financial pain or market pain, you take those pills, right, to get yourself back on track, to mend it, to make yourself feel better so you can heal. But we're at the point now where, like, I still have some back muscle relaxers for my back. I'm not taking them. My back is fine. The analogy there is right now would be like the doctor saying, hey, just keep eating those muscle relaxers. Just keep eating them. Like, I don't need them. My back, I'd rather save it for if I tweak my back again to use those again. I think that is a bad analogy, but that's where we're at. Like, those rate cuts should be saved. They should be precious, because how many of them do we actually have? If we are at 4.2, we're at 4.5. If we're at 4.5 right now, that means we have 18 rate cut potentials, 18 25 basis point rate cuts. And let's go look. I haven't looked at the Fed stuff. Let me go look at the Fed funds futures here real quick, and then we'll wrap it up, because I wasn't planning on an hour show, but here we are again. All right. Yeah, Lori, I keep meds on just in case. I don't eat them because I have them. Big gap. I'm going night golfing tonight in my red, white, and blue attire. So, here is the forecast for July. Right now, 93%, no change, but we're at 4.5, right? So every 1 point is 4 rate cuts. So you've got 16 rate cuts plus 2. You have 18 rate cut potential to get us to 0. We don't need to use all those now. Right now, there's a 59% chance of a 25 basis point cut at the September meeting, and I still am in that camp. I think Jerome Powell is going to, wave the middle finger a little bit just to say, nope, we're not gonna do it. You guys are hilarious. All right, that's going to do it for me, everybody. I'm going to wrap up here before I get to that 1 hour mark. I hope that you enjoyed the shows this week. I know they were a little bit scattered because I've been very, very busy. I hope that the week was good to you, and we will see what happens next week. I do anticipate a bullish market for crypto. Again, no show Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. My apologies. I will be in Vegas. If you are going to be there, email me at tradermerlin@gmail.com, and we'll catch up somewhere. Have a great weekend, everybody. Cheers. I hope you do something fun. I will see you guys on Thursday. Email me if you want me to discuss anything next week. Take care.